The first thing that changed after the kiss wasn't what they said. It was what they didn't. No one mentioned it. Not him. Not her. But everything shifted. Precious noticed it immediately. The way his eyes found her faster in a room. The way his men started watching her differently, not just as an outsider, but as someone closer. More dangerous. More untouchable. Because she was his. Even if he hadn't said it. You're staring again. Precious didn't look away from the glass wall overlooking the city. I'm thinking. Eel stepped up beside her. About? You. That earned a pause. What about me? She turned slightly, studying him. You're adjusting. His expression didn't change. To what? To me being here, she said simply. Silence. Then. You assume too much. And you deny too quickly. Their eyes locked. Tension. Familiar now. But deeper. More layered. Later that evening. She saw it. A woman. Elegant, beautiful, carefully positioned. Too close to him. Laughing softly at something he hadn't even fully said. Precious didn't interrupt. Didn't react outwardly. But she watched. Carefully. The woman's hand brushed Eel's arm. Light. Intentional. Testing. Eel didn't respond. Didn't encourage. But he also didn't immediately move away. That was enough. The woman never made it out of the building. Not harmed. Not touched. Just removed. Quietly. Efficiently. A message. Eel found out within minutes. Of course he did. And he knew exactly who was responsible. He found her in his office. Standing exactly where she always did. Calm. Unbothered. You crossed the line, he said. Her gaze met his. No. Yes. No, she repeated softly. I corrected a problem. His jaw tightened. You don't get to decide that. I already did. Silence. Heavy. Then. You're territorial, he said. Her lips curved faintly. Only about what's mine. That word again. Mine. It hit differently now. Not naive. Not playful. Claiming. He stepped closer. Slow. Measured. And what exactly do you think is yours? She didn't step back. Didn't hesitate. You. The word landed between them like a challenge. Like truth. Like something inevitable. This time. He didn't deny it. Trust didn't come naturally to you, Eel. It was something carved out of him years ago. Left behind with blood and betrayal. But with her. It wasn't trust. Not fully. Not yet. It was something more dangerous. Reliance. You're missing something. The room stilled. Men twice her size went quiet. Because she had just interrupted a strategic briefing. And not politely. Eel didn't react immediately. Just looked at her. Explain. Precious stepped forward, eyes moving across the layout on the table. The pattern, she said. These aren't random hits. One of the men scoffed. They're targeting our distribution lines. It's obvious. No, she said calmly. That's what they want you to think. Silence. They're testing response time, she continued. Mapping your reactions, your adjustments. She glanced at Eel. Which means the next move won't be there. A pause. Then. Where? He asked. Her eyes sharpened slightly. Closer. Hours later. She was right. Again. That was the moment everything shifted for him. Not emotionally. Strategically. He started asking for her input first. Not last. Started letting her sit beside him during decisions. Not behind. Started trusting her instincts. Even when he didn't fully trust her. That night. The distance between them broke again. She was in his office. Late. Of course. Reviewing documents like she belonged there. Like she had always been part of this world. You should sleep, he said. You should stop getting ambushed. A faint shift in his expression. Then. He walked closer. Slow. Intentional. You think you're indispensable now? No, she said quietly. Her eyes met his. I know you're starting to need me. That was dangerous. He stopped in front of her. Close enough to feel her breath. You're pushing. And you're not stopping me. Silence. Charged. Heavy. Then. His hand moved again. This time not to restrain. To pull her closer. Firm. Decisive. No hesitation. The kiss this time wasn't a test. It wasn't controlled restraint. It was deeper. Slower. Intentional. His hand slid from her arm to her back, holding her there, not forceful, but certain. Like she wasn't going anywhere. Like he wasn't letting her. Precious responded differently too. Less defiance. More presence. Her fingers curled slightly against his shirt, grounding herself, not from uncertainty, but from intensity. The world outside the office disappeared. No power. No strategy. Just. This. When he pulled back, it wasn't far. Their foreheads nearly touched again. You're becoming a problem, he murmured. Her lips brushed just close enough to answer. Then stop wanting me. A pause. Then. Quiet, dangerous honesty. I don't. But he didn't let go. The shift in strategy came too late. Because this time. They didn't target his empire. They targeted her. Precious felt it before she saw it. A car that stayed too long. A reflection that didn't move naturally. Patterns. Small. But wrong. She didn't panic. Didn't react. She adjusted. Changed routes. Tested responses. And confirmed it. She was being watched. That night. She didn't tell him. Not immediately. She wanted to understand the scale first. The intent. The players. But someone else moved faster. The attack came without warning. 3 vehicles. Blocked exit. Clean formation. Professional. Not random. Precious stepped out of the car before the driver could react. Gun already in hand. First shot, clean. Second, calculated. She moved fast, using angles, positioning. But this wasn't like before. This was planned. For her. A bullet grazed her shoulder. She didn't slow. Didn't hesitate. But she recalculated. This wasn't just a test. This was an attempt. By the time Hey Eel arrived, it was already over. Bodies. Smoke. Silence. And her. Standing in the middle of it. Breathing steady. Blood on her sleeve. Not all of it hers. His expression when he saw her shifted instantly. Cold. Sharp. Dangerous. But underneath. Something else. Something he hadn't let surface in years. He crossed the distance in seconds. Hands on her shoulders. Checking. Assessing. His touch wasn't gentle. It was urgent. Are you hurt? A scratch. Where? She didn't answer. So he found it himself. Blood. Her shoulder. His jaw tightened. You didn't call me. His voice was low. Controlled. But barely. I handled it. That's not the point. Now her eyes sharpened. It is the point. Silence. Then. No, he said, quieter now. The point is. He stopped. Because the words didn't come easily. Didn't exist easily. You were targeted, he finished. I noticed. That means they're escalating. And that means we respond. She stepped closer. Not weak. Not shaken. Focused. We find out who. But he didn't move. Didn't shift into strategy. Not yet. Instead. His hand lifted again. This time slower. More deliberate. He touched her shoulder, near the wound, not on it. Careful. Controlled. But something in it. Wasn't just assessment. You don't get attacked, he said quietly. Her gaze held his. I just did. His eyes darkened. No, he corrected. Not without consequences. That was the moment it became something else. Not just war. Not just strategy. Not just power. Personal. And for the first time, Precious realized. She wasn't just inside his world anymore. She was at the center of it.
The city felt different. Tighter. Watching. Waiting. Because when Ryuhei moved in anger, Sol paid attention. They touched her. The room went silent. No one asked who. They all knew. A handsome Korean man stood at the head of the table, hands resting lightly against the surface, posture calm. Too calm. That was worse. Find them, he said. Not loud. Not aggressive. Just final. And when you do. A pause. Cold. Measured. They don't get to die quickly. Precious stood to the side, arms crossed, observing. Not interrupting. Not softening anything. Because she understood. This wasn't just retaliation. This was possession turned into violence. Later. You're overextending, she said. They were alone again. Always alone when it mattered. Hey didn't look at her immediately. They targeted you. And? His gaze snapped to hers. And, he repeated. Yes, she said calmly. That means they want a reaction. You got one. And now they control the pace. Silence. Sharp. She stepped closer. You're thinking emotionally. That word. Dangerous. Wrong person to say it to. Wrong moment. He moved fast. Closing the distance. Not violent. But intense. You think I'm not in control? He asked quietly. I think, she said, voice just as steady, you're not used to caring. That landed. For a second. Something cracked. Not visibly. Not fully. But enough. The wound wasn't deep. But it wasn't nothing. And Hey refused to ignore it. Sit. Precious didn't argue this time. That alone told him more than words. His office was quiet. Lights low. City glowing beyond glass. The world outside still moving. While everything inside narrowed to just them. A knelt slightly in front of her, not submissive, not soft. Focused. Controlled. His fingers brushed the edge of her sleeve. Hold still. I am. You move. You're slow. A flicker of something almost like amusement crossed his face. Then vanished. He pushed the fabric aside carefully. The cut was clean. But blood had soaked through. His jaw tightened. You should have told me. I handled it. You were bleeding. I'm still standing. His hand paused. Then. More deliberate now. Slower. Careful. When he cleaned the wound, his touch changed. Still controlled. But, aware. Of her. Of the closeness. Of the way she didn't pull away. Precious watched him. Not the injury. Him. The precision. The restraint. The way his focus narrowed completely. "You're angry," she said quietly. "I'm always angry." "No," she murmured. "This is different." His hand stilled against her shoulder. Close to the wound. Not touching it. But feeling the heat of her skin. "They don't get to touch you," he said. Not loud. Not dramatic. But absolute. Precious tilted her head slightly. "And you do?" His eyes lifted to hers. Dark. Sharp. Possessive. A beat. Then. Yes. The air shifted instantly. He finished wrapping her shoulder, but neither of them moved away. Too close. Again. "Always here." "You're crossing your own rules," she said softly. "I don't have rules." "You did." Past tense. That was enough. He stood. But didn't step back. Instead, his hand moved. Not to restrain. Not to check. To pull her forward. This time the kiss wasn't sudden. It built. Slow. Intentional. Like he was deciding something with every second. When their lips met. It wasn't force. It was depth. Heat. Control unraveling just enough to matter. His hand slid along her jaw again, but softer now. Less warning. More claim. Her fingers curled lightly into his shirt, not resisting, not yielding. Matching him. The kiss deepened. Not rushed. Not careless. But undeniable. When he pulled back, it wasn't far. Their breaths mixed. Close enough to blur the space between words and silence. "You're becoming a problem," he said again. But this time. It sounded different. Precious's voice was quieter now. More intimate. "Then stop letting me stay." He didn't answer. Because he couldn't. Instead. His forehead rested briefly against hers. A rare pause. A rare closeness. "I should send you away," he said. "You won't." No. That was the truth. War didn't begin loudly. It began quietly. Strategically. Precious noticed the shift first. Again. Patterns changing. Movements tightening. Silences where there shouldn't be. "They're not reacting," she said. Hayel looked up. "Explain." "They hit me," she said. "You escalated." "Yes." "And now, nothing." A pause. Then. "They're waiting." That was worse. Or, she added softly, "they're setting something bigger." He didn't like that. Didn't like it at all. "Stay close," he said. It wasn't a suggestion. Precious tilted her head. "I always am." But this time. That wouldn't be enough. Later that night. The air felt wrong. Too still. Too quiet. Precious stepped out of the car slowly. Eyes scanning. Senses sharp. No visible threat. Which meant. Hidden. She reached for her weapon. Too late. A sharp movement behind her. A hand. A strike. Precise. Calculated. She fought. Of course she did. Fast. Lethal. Efficient. But this wasn't random. This was planned. For her. Against her. Numbers. Positioning. Timing. For the first time. She was at a disadvantage. A needle. Cold against her skin. Her body reacted instantly. But not fast enough. Vision blurred. Muscles slowed. She dropped one more attacker before her knees hit the ground. Breathing steady. Even now. Even here. As darkness crept in. Her last thought wasn't fear. It was. He's going to burn everything for this. Elsewhere. Hayil felt it before he heard it. That shift. That absence. Where is she? No answer. That was enough. The room dropped 10 degrees. Find her. And this time, there was no control left to hold him back.